really am very pleased to be here to share in this report from your government to you, the constituents and the citizens of this country who, as you heard from the AG in his opening remarks, you made the decision to change, to make a change in this country. And for that you deserve a big round of applause. What we are doing here today, this day of Pentecost, Whitsuntide, is really because of what you did. What you did on the 15th of February 2015. If you had not taken the discussions which we brought to you, if you had not believed that there was the need for change and made the decision through voting to accomplish that change, we will not be here talking to you today. And that is why I want you to, this is where I want you to anchor yourselves, to see that you are the important people today in this room and in this country. We have just been given the mandate to run things for you. And you heard from the Attorney General that based on the evidence that your team, Unity Government, is doing a fine job. What do you say? And I bring you greetings from the people of Nevis, from my own constituency number 10. Because under this Team Unity Government, the unity between St. Kitts and Nevis, or the relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis, the people of the two islands, has gone to, I almost said to heaven, but it ain't reached there yet. We are getting there. It has improved tremendously. And the benefits which the people of Nevis have seen and which they will continue to see under this Team Unity Government, they are happy, they are more than happy, and they are prepared certainly to keep this Team Unity Government in office when the time comes for us to vote again. So today we are here reporting to you. And we are doing so because we have something to report. You can't report if you have nothing to report. We are report improvements in tourism, education, improvements in labor relations in this country. We can talk about the change of the PEP program, that program which encouraged a type of parasitism, people just sucking out the resources of this country, doing nothing. But I will go through it in a way as systematically as I can. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm pleased to see so many wonderful people. All the people, you who have been the backbone of this country, whether you worked in the sugar industry, whether you worked in teaching, whether you worked in the factory or in the hotel industry, you have been the backbone of sustaining this country. So your presence here today tells me that this Team Unity Government has a broad cross-section of support, because among you we have younger people who will be the future of this country. And I want to congratulate you for coming here today to listen to this report. And I want to preface my report by saying to you, beware of wolves in sheep's clothing. Simple. And that is not a political statement. It is a statement of reality. Because when we listen to those who are parading themselves as paragons of virtue, as if they're holy, as if they have served this country well, when in fact what they did was to serve themselves. And that is the reason why they are so angry. Because they know what they have taken and what they can't get their hands on anymore. Because Team Unity government is running this country well. We have decided, even before we got into government, that will be a government which is transparent, which is responsible, which includes everybody. Sometimes we get accused of allowing people who supposedly don't support the government to work. But we want to make sure that this country remains a country for all the people of this country. And that means we have to be inclusive. But if there are those, and hear me well, who do not wish the government, your government well, we ought not to encourage them and sustain them. I want to explain a little bit. If you are in an organization and there are people in the organization who day in, day out seek to destroy the forward progress of your organization, what will you do with them? You deal with them. And I think I know that they believe that what the government is doing is correct. But they want to try and fool you with their sheep's clothing or their wolfish behavior. And that's what I want you to guard against. This country inherited myriads of problems. And when we hear boast of billion plus SIDF money because of the Citizenship by Investment program, and yet the government, the Prime Minister of the day, Minister of Finance, allowed this country to fall into the hands of the IMF, you have to question whether he understood government or not. Because you can't have money sitting down and you have debt. How could debt and surplus subsist at the same time? That is not how you run a country well. That is not good governance. I'm not going to talk about what we believe to be the corruptive practices. I'm not touching that. In time, there will be time. But keep that in the back of your mind. But here you have a CBI program which was manipulated by the former Prime Minister, manipulated for the benefits of people who were his friends and supporters. But at the same time, leaving the country in a state which made us, the citizens of this country, feel the pressure of increased taxation, increased burdens, and we are at the behest, under the control of the IMF. Don't forget that. When your children who do economics and who will understand, be better than we as older persons have ever understood, that once you allow the IMF to step in, and listen to the news, because it is becoming more and more clear that other countries are now challenging the way the IMF functions. But there we were, with hundreds of millions of dollars sitting down, being siphoned off to friends and associates to feather their own beds, while the country, which gave reason for the SIDA funds because of the citizenship program, the country, the people of the country were left to suffer. I want us to bear those things in mind. I speak to you because I'm a firm believer in what we did to establish the Team Unity government. And I speak to you also because I believe that our Prime Minister, the Honorable Timothy Harris, is an astute leader. I speak to you also because I believe, and the evidence is there, that he is capable, and he has shown it by the way he has managed the economic development of this country. Unless we think that he doesn't have people to work with him, let me disavow you. Because when you look at the different sectors, tourism, you look at education, there are persons who are charged with the responsibility of managing those industries, those sectors. And it is that support, that unity of purpose between the Prime Minister, or among the Prime Minister and his ministers, why we are able to say to you here today that the country running good. The very CBI program, Citizenship by Investment program, which we had to clean up. We had to make sure we change the whole structure of that program so that the people and the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis and the country of St. Kitts did not continue to have negative press out into the international marketplace. And those who would wish to see negative press, they are doing that because they feel by seeking to pull down the benefits which the government has brought for the people, that they're going to get back in government. Not a thing or so. Let us make that very clear. Unless the wolves in sheep clothing believe that they will continue to run around and look like sheep and bay like wolves, we have news for them, but the news will come. Wait, let us not rush. Some people want to rush things because they have their own agenda. But when you come into government, you don't come to government with your own agenda. You come to government for or with the people's agenda. And that is what the CBI program has become under the leadership of Dr. Harris and his Team Unity government, because he has recruited additional staff. How can you run a big program like the CBI with a handful of people? I used to get calls from providers, developers in Nevis for years, for months. They don't get a response. And the director or the CEO of the CBI program at the time sent out a notice to all the people of the country and the world that calls will only be taken for a slot of half an hour a day. And that's truth. One of these days we'll have to get that circular and put it out into the public domain. Because you see, when they are seeking to find fault with what is happening now, with improved due diligence, increased number of persons making applications, increased number of persons engaging in development, and they're not going to be development left like shells. People take their money and gone and leave the project undone. That is something which came up 2 days ago in the Invest Caribbean Summit at the Marriott over 2 days. The developers and the people there were concerned that in some areas, and St. Kitts and Nevis was like that. We still have some eyesores around. But I'll give you the secret. A lot of the unfinished projects the people who are the developers already get the people's money. And before the project was done, they had their passports. My thing is, and I think this is the policy of the government, you will not be allowed to draw down the people's money until you have something to show for it. Because if somebody became very ornery, very litigious, and wanted to go to court, they could claim, and I'm not giving anybody any ideas, that our having licensed developers, having licensed agents who sold the properties or the units which are not now which have not been completed, but the people have their money and they have nothing when they come to show. They may want to claim that the government is complicit in fraud with those people. And I'm very serious about it. It has caused me a lot of pain because I had to deal with that in Nevis. And I had to write to a developer and say to him, I will not agree to what you're asking because I will not allow the government to be a party to any fraudulent activity. The record is there. And our fellow citizens, I am not, as the people say, biting my mouth on this matter. And I know the Prime Minister is very concerned, and that is why he's gone to the length and breadth to hire high-quality people, increase the staff at the unit so that the unit can continue to grow. Maybe I should not say any more because that is the Prime Minister's ministry. Right. And he's here. I can speak about tourism. I'm going to shift a little bit because I don't like to trespass. If I could avoid trespassing. Tourism. When we, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, we hear of the new projects, the Ramada, the Six Senses. You hear that? Ritz-Carlton. Some already broken ground. And you see the number of persons who are moving around the country working on these projects. Your government deserves to be commended, and don't let anybody, do not let anybody tell you that nothing happening in the country. Don't let them tell you that. Because you see, I have gone through that many, many years. They come and tell you, say, oh, nothing happening in the country. Then you ask them, what is nothing? They don't know. They don't know. And when you begin to outline the things which are happening, as I just did, they don't want to talk about that. It's easy to say nothing happening. It's like saying that somebody thief. What a thief, they don't know. And this is why I said, and I preface what I'm saying by beware of wolves in sheep's clothing. That you should keep that in your mind. So tourism, we expect to have 1 million cruise passengers in this season. 1.2 million. 1.5 million, the port manager or chairman. Many days you go into Charlestown, because before we changed up in 2013, you had no cruise boats, big or small, coming to Nevis. So I can speak about that too. Here in St. Kitts, in the Bastille Roadstead, sometimes the poor little ferries got to wait for an hour before they move, because once those cruise ships begin to move, they have to stay put to prevent accidents. 4 cruise ships on average, sometimes more than that. And they will say, nothing happening. Well, let them ask the taximen. Because I'm a street man. I'm always on the street. I like to walk. Because I come from the country. And I ain't born with no silver spoon or gold spoon in my mouth. You have to work hard. Walk in the cotton fields with the old lady, get cushion in my foot because you had no shoes. But these are the things that I like to talk about. Not because I'm ashamed, but because it doesn't do me any good, because God has been good. And the old lady sent me to school. I was able to learn. Education. Education. How many of you remember the Bastia High School saga? Big noise. Can't solve a simple problem to get children going to school simultaneously for the two schools simply by renting other properties. So that children don't start to go to school at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and end up going home at 7 and 8 o'clock at night. That's not what we are used to. So we inherited the Bastia High School problem. We solved that within a year. Within a year. And we are now on the verge of seeing groundbreaking for the construction of a new Bastia High School. And also, revamping of the school curriculum. We believe that our people must have the necessary skills training, not just through STEP, but through the school system itself. Because all of the high schools have a technical wing attached. Then you have AVEC, you have the CFBC, you have Project Strong. Those are areas where our people should be made by you parents. Tell them, listen, you left school, you can't get a job in an office, go and get a skill so that you can help yourself or work for somebody with that skill. You need to do that. Don't let them sit down and say, oh, nothing happened. Like when the Prime Minister campaign say, when he said, the guy say, boss, nothing go on. Well, things are going on now. Things going on now. And we need to make sure that our people take advantage of what is happening in this country. Right? Housing. And I'll skip along nicely because $50 million in housing started last year. Quality housing, affordable housing, significantly reduced interest rate on the mortgage so that ordinary people, low-income earners, can own their own home. In Nevis, $10 million, increasing the housing stock, making sure that our people can have good quality housing in this country. I run along labor. The labor ministry, the Department of Labor, we have transformed that. That ministry and the people who are working there, we have made them recognize that they are important in the scheme of things in this country. They're not just there to receive complaints. Matter of fact, our sworn statement is to seek through education of our workers and employers, because sometimes employers, they don't know. We have to go in and talk with them, let them have the law. Let them know what is expected of them as employers of people's labor, so that we can reduce, if not totally eliminate, matters like complaints, termination, and so on, for what I may consider things which are not necessary. People not showing up to work on time. They're taking off when they like, leaving the bus with a gap in his workforce, calling sick when when they know they're in sick. Now, I'm not going to say doctor don't know. I would never say that, because that's a doctor's job. But I know the people who go to the doctor sometimes know they're in sick, but they don't want to go to work. So they want to get paid by government, not showing up to work. Those things are not right. And I want us to stop pointing finger at the government and the government ministers. If you know someone is sick, and they're supposed to be home if they're sick, but they're on the street day in, day out, or they're doing another job at the same time they should be going to the government work which is paying them, you have a right to report it. Or if you don't want to report it, talk to them. Because it's your tax money paying them. Getting paid to do nothing. But we are looking now at establishing a new labor code to change the relationship. Just on Wednesday, we had a consultant come in to talk with us. And he's been meeting with the trade union reps, or the union reps, because we have education, and we have now a new union which has just registered, and with the Employers Confederation to make sure we get the best for our people. I want to move on to something, Social Security, because I think I should really just stop, and if you have questions we can answer. Social Security, hitherto 2015, under the former government, was being used as a slush fund. Millions of dollars being spent out to bail out friends because they have a difficulty. And this must be of great concern to you, the citizens. Now we put a stop to that. We're not going to get everything right now, but we have started to say to Social Security, and we have two members of the board here who know that I cross my heart. I'm not telling any lie. We have made a conscious decision that the Social Security, which manages and holds in trust the resources of the people of this country, can play a greater role in the economic development. Hence, the investment in housing, not new, but different. Because they had to go through the land and housing, the housing corporation had to go through serious negotiations to get it done. They had to prove that they will pay back. It was not just a telephone call, $50 million to London Housing to build house, not that. We had a situation with the second cruise pier, the same thing. The Casper had to go through rigorous discussion to get that investment from Social Security. Social Security, under my watch, sadly gave the government trouble to complete an arrangement which they had to pay certain monies for lands which they had agreed with the government. But all's well that ends well. And we are not going back to the days of Social Security fund being used as a slush fund for anybody. That is not what it's for. But we believe, the Team Unity government believes, that the Social Security fund could be used to improve the economic development of this country, whether it's in tourism, whether it is infrastructure, whether it is in housing or in education. All those avenues are open to us to make sure we develop our human capacity, our people, using the resources not as a slush fund, but as a partner with government in development. And last of all, you heard about today being Whit Sunday. How many of you know today is Whit Sunday? All of you? You went to church? I didn't go to church. But I really did sit down where I am and say my prayers and read the Bible and got a feel again. So I sent out a little WhatsApp note to some of the people on my list, or most of them, and said, have a happy Whitsuntide. Enjoy the celebration which the day of Pentecost allows us to enjoy for the weekend. And I say that because we are losing a reverence for the things of the church and of God. And you can't blame the government. You can't blame the parsons and the pastors, because every one of you can read your Bible. And I'll say to you, the Reformation came about because the church was controlling all the reading in the Bible. Maybe not telling people the truth. I don't know, I wasn't there. That's history. But when Martin Luther decided he would challenge so that the writings of the Bible of the day, or the biblical writings of the day, could be read by the ordinary people, that made a difference in the life of the world. So don't blame the person. Don't blame anybody. You have a responsibility for yourself to do what is right. And last of all, you have a responsibility, having been educated, to read for yourself and to reason for yourself. Don't let anybody reason and read and write for you. When they want to get at people, they say what they want about the person to make you believe what they say is true. Wolves in sheep's clothing. That's my presentation to you. If you have any questions to ask, I'll be right there. But thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much, Prime Minister.
Stay up to date with news, programs, and activities of the government with SKNIS. Like us on Facebook. Listen to us on SoundCloud. Follow us on Twitter. And watch our videos on YouTube. Connect with us today. SKNIS, St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service.